been a few days. I've been really busy. I got 2 days to get everything done and packed. So after work on Thursday, today's the 21st of October, Tuesday. On Thursday after work, I need to have everything have already been loaded into my car so I can drop it off at the event space. So I can set up my table, and I'll include a video of the table, and it's a lot of stuff, and get that table set up, and then I can show up on Friday morning without having that stressor of making sure I have everything done. Um, it's been a little bit, a couple days since we did a how to play, but I thought I'd skip over that a little bit because I'm trying to get things done, and I'm going to run through my spiel. It's going to be a little bit of a video, a little bit longer, of everything I do for an event. And to start out with, I got some stuff over here because I finally got the missions done, and they're just some little platforms, little data centers for the Inquisitors to investigate. And there's 4 of those along with what's already on that table that I'll show you. Alright, so here again is, hope I'm in frame here. This is the table. I've 3D printed everything on this table, except for the table itself, and these trees are, of course, are GW trees. Everything's magnetized, so all this comes apart and puts together again. I left the hallway not because I was having problems getting everything lined up right, but this is it. This is the table. I'm hoping to have some good fun with 2 games in 3 days. So yeah, I show you the table when it was done, and here's the table. Alright, here is the finished table. Trying out this camera with the light on it, but here's the table, and yeah, it's turned out really well. I added some more flock to the table, to the old Realm of Battle board. I got the flyer on there, I got generator. I'm just trying to get a feel for where everything should be, kind of keep it not quite balanced, because there should be a choice. When somebody is figuring out where they want to start on the table, that there should be a choice of good, bad, or whatever, depending on what their mission is. So this is a flyover. Let's keep it steady here, of the table and all the various things that are going on within. With this room's top off, the front, or this back entrance, there's just a book sitting here in the hallway, in the main room. There's a library, a bit, sort of a starting room. And in the radio room, we have these guys hanging out. I haven't thought of what they'll mean, or what you would do if you mess with that computer yet. I need to get it figured out. This would be, the radio goes on here. Not sure if I showed you this, but all these pieces are magnetized, so I can put the whole piece on as one piece, and they hold themselves on. The hallway, simple enough. It's just a hallway. We'll go into the main room here next. Alright, so here's the inside of the Xenolab. You have an autopsy going on. You have the other containers. I was supposed to make one of these broken, but I really just didn't have the time to do it. I found some to print that are already broken, so I just need to build them, but they just won't be part of this event. But that's inside the lab. And the landing pad with some kind of Arvis transport somehow got to this isolated, desolate Xenolab. Although some of the teams are probably going to want to look at this as a way off. Alright, so I did everything here on this table. This is everything I've prepared, going all the way around over to the cheat sheets over there. And I'll try to cover everything and show you a little bit of everything. The first team is the Tau team. Let's see if I get some better light on them. But the Team Tau. And that is them. I came up with stats for the Crute Hound, and otherwise, this is a fan-made Tau Fire Warrior. So, well, I don't know if a Fire Warrior necessarily, just a warrior. And the Crute is actually in the book, and so is the Watercast Envoy. And so I got that team done. Everybody in the whole, all these figures in the whole event is already in this stack I created, the turn order tracker, which will simplify the game, and I'll go through that, hopefully. But it simplifies the game massively because you just got the orders. So we'll jump into what I have for each team. So a reminder sheet of what you're going to do at the end of the turn. I've made a card for the Crute Hound. I will put all these online eventually after the event. I just got too much stuff going on right now. Here's the Tau Envoy, basically straight up lifted from the book. Which one of the Exterminatus, I can't remember which Exterminatus it's from right at the moment. Tau Operative, which is the warrior, and the Crew Mercenary, and all of his stats. So this is one team, and that is the team. So the next team that I created using converted squat and Simon 38X, and just got a Servo Skull and Magos, and just this old guy who's going to be my old Inquisitor, Kessel. So, and then that team, let's take the rubber bands off of these. That team, I'm including the end of turn card, Inquisitor Kessel, and just a basic Inquisitor basic out of the book. Modified it a little bit. I gave him a force rod for his little walking stick there, so I made it a force rod, so it gives him a little bit of extra oomph in combat. And he has his little helper, which is Simon 38X, and here Simon is, and his trigger word, exploit. And on the back of all these cards, I've put a copy of all the skills that they have. So, like, Inquisitor Kessel has Leader and Heroic. They're back here on the back of the card for the player. And I've highlighted the shooting range modifiers for the weapons that he's carrying. And I've also included the skills for, or the information for the psychic powers that he has. And the same goes with every character I have here. They all have that on the back. So Magos Corvus Peck. He's the tech priest. All of his stuff, and his weapons, and everything else on the back of this. Along with on the back of the sheet, everything that all the skills or any equipment or any other special things that he has is on the back. And Slippery Jim, which is a Ogren converted. I made into a squat. I didn't convert him. I got him on eBay already converted. I just repainted him. But he is a squat. Size works out to be about that. And for the rules, I gave him, I made a special rule called Stunty, which gives him -1 inch to his movement. So he gets a -1 yard for his movement. But I also gave him hip shooting, which allows him to move around and fire as if he's not moving. So he's a stable platform, basically. He has a revolver and a plasma pistol, which is a risky thing to shoot because it could melt your arm off, but it could do a lot of damage. a knife, and all of his extra stuff on the back. That's that team, Kessel's team. All right, that is going to be a bad edit. Okay, we'll move that one aside. And then we have the Gene Stealer team. And the Gene Stealer team, not the Gene Stealer cult team, is the Magus and his right-hand man and the other two guys. So they have an end of turn card, of course. Everybody's going to have one of those. And then the Magus is, he's the leader of the group. He has a really high leadership of 87, of course. And I gave him, he's straight out of one of the Exterminatus books. I can't remember which one, but he's straight out of there. I gave him a force staff, so he has a better chance of hurting people. He's almost everything in that team, the tank and everything else, and all of his skills. That on the back. Then we have Brother Due, and he is the second in command. Basically, he's the second best guy in this group. He has his flak armor, he has a sword, and he has his las pistol. And he's fearsome in combat. And then there's that's Brother Due. Brother Trie is the hybrid. He has 3 arms. And he has a shotgun, and he has razor sharp claws on this arm. So if he doesn't shoot with a shotgun, it's going to be a nasty day when he gets in hand to hand. So you don't want to be there with him. And then lastly is Brother Unum, and Unum is a hybrid as well, but he only has the 2 arms. They're all hybrids actually, so that goes without. But he has a melt-a-gun, so he will be fairly nasty in close range if somebody gets close to him, or if he needs to get close to somebody else. That is the cultists that somebody will choose to play or just get given. All right, that's that team. And the last but not least team is the Puritan Inquisitor Brother Brutalis's team. And Brother Brutalis, there's that card. Brother Brutalis is a straight up Inquisitor out of the book. I did give him a sign language code, so everybody in this team has a sign language code. If they're in sight range, they can talk to each other essentially without making a sound. He has a power sword and a bolt pistol. He's just your run-of-the-mill Puritan Inquisitor, and all the stuff is on the back. He also has this servo skull that has a bioscanner. I tried to make sure everybody in the game, all the teams, had some kind of auspex with some kind of scanner. Let's see. And then there's Navigator Skline. Navigator Skline has he's out of the Exterminatus books. He has several psychic powers. He's not very strong or tough or anything else, but he has a Cyber Eagle, which I modeled after a just a regular GW War Eagle. I can't remember if 2nd edition, maybe 3rd edition. I just added some wires and some little doodads to his face to make him look like a Cyber Eagle. So that and I just took the book stats, and here he is. I made a simple damage table, which is out of the book as well, and included the rules for the familiar, so the navigator can see through his eyes. And then there was Sister Morgas, and this is a Death Cult assassin, and she is the hammer of this group. The tank, not really the tank, because no power armor, not really any armor, but very, very quick and very deadly, and has knives with some stun poison on them, which will stun people when she cuts into them. That is the Puritans. All right, next we have the baddies. And who do I include in the baddies? And the baddies are including end of turn card. They include the Pure Strain Gene Stealer, which I simplified the stats a little bit and put him on a card. He's still very deadly. They are very, very deadly, but I didn't want to make them too deadly. And then there's the Wendigo, which is this 54 mil model that I had found online a few years back, and I nicknamed him Head Taker. I gave him a shadow and vampirism, so he's kind of a demon on this world and just sort of hanging out and killing people as he comes across them. He can, after he's done somebody, he can drain their life force. That's him. And the nurse is also a figure that I got online. I think it was probably a Kickstarter mini that never really went anywhere. I just made her a light version of the Wendigo, just a softer one. The Wendigo I gave, if they actually kill him, he would come back into the card deck. And now I'll talk about that card deck in a second. And then there's Sergeant Black. And Sergeant Black is just the last survivor of the last team that was on his planet. And he's confused and kind of manic. And he may or may not join your group depending on who you are and if you convince him to join your group. Oh, and then there's the Warp Storm and the Vortex. And the Vortex is just will funnel down from the sky. I took the power out of the main book. There's a Warp Vortex in there, basic thing. And it'll do basically the same thing. It'll travel randomly, and if you get sucked into it, you'll be either killed or tossed to some other side of the table. All right, that is that. We'll go on to the next. All right, to go with the things that will be random monsters, I made these Obscurum cards, which have apparently nothing. And you work your way through the deck. Oh, Grappleweed. Which is a monstrous plant that travels around eating things as well, which I left on my the table, so I don't have it sitting here. But it's from the old GW, which was it? The Death World plants. So it's from that kit. So this is a whole deck with 2/3 of it is these questions of, I guess it was nothing, you know, and so there'll be markers on the table, and these markers will randomly move, and when somebody comes within sight of them, we'll flip the deck and see what it is. It could be nothing, and it just appears whatever it was, just some mist, maybe mist that was shaped like a person walking around, and it confused the aspects. But then again, it could be a gene stealer that jumps out and starts gnawing on your face. That is the Obscurum, and we'll go to the next. All right, the next things on the list of things I needed to get done was the mission cards. And this took me forever. Now the table is, and you'll see in the video, hopefully I posted that before this in this video. It's as Imperial Xenolab. On a death world that's the warp is sort of taking over, and so these various groups have come to this planet or arrived at this planet, and they're dealing with that mess. And so I had to come up with missions for each one. I went to my through the books and the Exterminatus magazines and some of the other magazines and from Fanatic, and just sort of read through some missions and some of the missions that are shared on the Conclave, and came up with these. So the first mission, this is for one of the Inquisitors. It's basically they've been stranded on the rock. Maybe they crashed or whatever, and they saw that Arvis, and their mission is to take that Arvis and get the hell off this planet. Their secondary mission would be to spend some action trying to get some of this valuable loot or data from, or relics from the base. So that's their secondary mission, is to gather stuff from the base, but the main mission is to get off and intercept any owners and take them out. For just no reason. The next one is the Tau. The Tau mission is, let's get off this rock. It's the same as that Inquisitor's mission. It's exactly the same. They are somehow crashed during a warp storm. They saw that Arbus come in and land over there, and so they're checking it out, and they're looking to get out of here. And any of this Imperial technology would be good to try to find and sell or use for gathering information. So they're going to be gathering stuff as well. And then the other Inquisitor, they were sent here because they had lost contact with the lab. They're sent here from either a Lord Governor or some higher up, but they were sent here to check it out. They came on an Imperial cruiser, which is in orbit, and they were landed by a dropship a few clicks away. They spotted the unsanctioned Arbus transport on site, so their mission is to secure and stop any and all looting and all knowledge from leaving the site. They're to cleaned out. This mission I had planned for the Puritan. Okay, so their mission is basically stop anybody from leaving here and cleanse the planet, cleanse the data. Nothing should leave. And their secondary is to decide whether or not their directive is to destroy the Imperial lab from space. So they need to get what they can get and get out or sacrifice themselves, but they have a contact with the leadership test to the Navy ship above to lay waste to the planet with a pinpoint strike or barrage, and that could kill everybody or not. The bonus points is based on how many of their people survive and how many people they take out. Kind of the same thing in both, but one is secure the place, and then the player has a decision to make whether or not they want the planet to be destroyed. The last mission was for the Gene Stealer cult, and for the cult, this is where my plan first started for the whole thing. Was they've traveled through the warp storm, they've stolen this Arbus to land at this base. They knew this base was here, this Imperial lab, and they had heard that there was a loose pure strain Gene Stealer that was raised by the lab, and it doesn't really have a cult of its own. So their job is they're trying to find that Gene Stealer, and in finding the Gene Stealer, they're going to try to team it. The Magus can spend 2 actions within 3 yards of the beast and make willpower psychic checks to try to bind the pure strain Gene Stealer to the cult. If they do that, then the beast is bound to their cult, so he becomes part of their team, and they gain 6 victory points for doing that. If they fail either one of the tests, the pure strain Gene Stealer will attack the Magus and probably kill them. The secondary is loot. They've seen all this stuff. They always could use funds and extra technology and relics, so they will be looting as well. That is the missions. Alright, so the last bits of stuff are, I make these pins on my resin printer and paint them up for each event I've done, and at the end of the event I give a pin to each player. I have 4 players, so I've made this pin for one of the games, probably the early game, and then the afternoon game I made this other pin just to be sort of like an Inquisitor badge. I date them on the back. That's just an extra thing I do for my players and thank for coming and playing, and so they remember it. My big goal is trying to get more people to play, and so the table is a spectacle, and the event is, I just want it to be very memorable. All right, the last bit is a bit of the rules and the cheat sheets I use. So the main thing I try to get through to my players is these 5 golden rules, which include that, I'm the GM has the final say, everything should be about the coolness of the game and embracing the story and making it very cinematic. The dice are here to support the story, but not to derail the narrative. So we'll use the dice as we need, but we won't break the game, as it were. Break the mood with the dice. Characters over stats, and collaboration is key. This is a storytelling game. It's a role-playing game, and it's compelling to to create this narrative. Rough schedule. This is the handout for everybody, so I made a rough schedule, and it's about a 5-hour allotment that I have got it narrowed down to based on the last 3 games that I've ran, and I just have the times there. That's that sheet. All right, the last bit of stuff is these cheat sheets that I've created. And so I have a rule that's just sort of all the usual stuff, house rules. Basically, there's no fight. We're not going to worry about rolling dice for actions. The player's just going to move. If there's no challenge to happen, I want the players to move. It speeds up the games. Leadership matters. This is where at the start of the game, they'll be rolling to see where they start on the table, how they enter the table. Based on their mission, they'll make choices. And based on how well they do on their dice off. And then I have all the basic rules about the automata and the servitors, if there's any around. Basic rules about the terrain. There's Shardrak spines on the table. There's Eldritch Ruins, which will give you a bonus to willpower tests. There's Grapple Weed, so I give the rules for those. And everything's got a sort of a primal sentience. This is sentience. The planet is just it's a death world in being engulfed by the warp, and so everything's sort of out to kill them, and it's sort of Halloween themed, or at least as far as I'm concerned. All right, and then the next sheet, the oversight of that, is the turn sequence. I go through all basically the actions and how do you make the action roll, what you do at pause for breath, what a risky is. And then about movement and stance. I know we haven't covered that in the Obscurum, but this is how I explain all the basic stuff on the stance and declaring movement actions and how far each action movement is. And then I talk about the terrain and any steep slopes, obstacles, if you're pinned, where you go. If you're getting shot at, you could end up pinned, and you could end up not being able to move or falling if you're climbing, say. If there's any water and any combined actions and movement, and then a bit about your arc of vision and your facing. So at the end of your movement, you want to be facing where you want to be facing. So you need to think about that as a player. The next cheat sheet is a combat sheet that I have everything talking about the shooting summary, whether or not you have line of sight, what you need to hit the target, your weapon's accuracy, and the hit modifiers and range modifiers to all that, whether or not you moved or your target moved, and all the bonuses for that, how many actions you spent aiming, and how much that's going to give you. You can overwatch in Inquisitor and just sort of hang out and watch a spot, and if somebody moves across it, you can make a snapshot. The player needs to pay attention, and as a GM, the first couple rounds, if somebody was doing that, I would remind them that they're doing that. If your weapon's rested, it'll give you a bonus, and the target size. And then there's the semi-automatic, and we haven't covered any automatic shooting, but in our how-tos, but that gives you -10 per shot taken. So if you shot 4 shots, by the time you got to that 4th shot, it'd be -40 for that 4th shot of hitting, to whatever other modifiers were already made. And if you're firing offhand, if you're firing with both hands, if you're not ambidextrous, that's going to give you a 20% chance to hit with both weapons. It's just harder to hit because you're just not that skilled at it. If you want to try to place a shot, and then if you do get shot at, you have to make a nerve test, or you can pin. You get pinned, and you can make an instant movement to the nearest cover. Basically, you're, ducking for cover, or diving for cover. and then a summary of all the hit modifiers. Then we get into close combat, and close combat is a devil for sure. It is very complicated, and it tells you how you initiate it by getting within 1 yard. Bonuses for charging, basically just entering combat. What you can do while you're in combat, you don't roll for you roll for how many actions, but you don't need to nominate them. And so everything's sort of like you decide as you go through the combat. And you can circle, you can advance and attack, you step back, you fire a pistol, try to break it off. You can change your facing. If there's multiple people, you got to decide who you're going to be fighting, who you're going to face. And then all the modifiers for all that kind of thing. Critical hits are basically double damage. If you score 1/10 of the character's attack skill required to hit, you do double damage. So if you needed 60% chance and you got a 6 or under on your roll, you're going to be a critical hit. Parrying, how each parry works. There's dodging. If the character has a dodge skill, they can try to dodge the attack. So that just goes into all the close combat skills. The next cheat sheet I got 4 sheets with double-sided, so 8 pages for my players. So this one just goes over all the injuries recovery summary. So it talks about the locations from my record sheet. It talks about the damage rolls, and it talks about the effects of each injury and what each thing means, whether you're stunned or you're bleeding, or what your total injury value is, and what your instant death number is. And some armor and recovery information as well. I expect the players, we're going to go through these, but I expect them to be constantly sort of going through, and this is what I found with my demo games. As the players, it's not really their turn. They'll be sort of gandering through this, and I just want this information to be very bite-sized information. This is to get people playing the game. It doesn't get everything that's in the book. There's so much there. This will get them playing, which is what I find is you get them playing, and then they'll do more. And then I have the damage tables and all the little things that will happen based on what kind of damage. If your guy hit in the abdomen, and what the light, heavy, medium, serious, and acute cripple damage is, what that effect is on the character. Don't need to talk too much about that. The last sheet is just a reference sheet I got off, it might have been Conclave. Probably was. It basically has it's the same information on the shooting and movement rates, and the modifiers for shooting and placed. Actually has a fumble chart for the grenades and the plasma weapon fumble charts, which is nice. And the location damage tables and all that. I will be making all of this available as soon as I have time after this event. And the event is, like I said, in 2 days. All right, just one last thing I wanted to mention. Again, here's the table. I know I showed it already, but the table is fairly extensive. There's a lot of stuff to do, and I'll be going through and trying to pack that out tonight. When it comes to the game, I mean, some features that people can mess with. You can mess with everything, but, there's a computer here on this side of the generator. There's this weird tower thing in here in the middle. In the rooms, there's computers and other pieces of terrain that I would have already shown you. So this is the table. I'm super stoked. Oh, here's the grapple weed if you have never seen it. So this is from the Death World terrain set that GW had came out with. I pulled them out of the table setup because I wanted them to be a monster, basically. Here's the shard rack spines and just normal trees that from that same set. The Eldritch ruins. I put one over here and one on the other side of the table. This is just sort of my this is what I think the table will be set up as, and it's just to give me a guide when I take all this down and take it to the event. I want to have a clue about where things go. I'll tape the edges here so I know what I'll color code them so I know what goes next to each other and where things go, and I'll refer to this video and photos that I've already taken to help me make sure I get that table right. because it's not necessarily the table has to be this certain way. No, it's just I've measured everything to make sure things are fairly even, but not quite even. Like the landing pad is right here on this corner. Somebody's going to be able to come from this corner. I'm going to probably put my finger on the scale to make sure it's not one of the teams that is trying to get out of here. But it will take a little bit to get the thing going. So, and they have to break into it. This is a sagacity test. So, so everybody will be starting from either corner, and there's an entrance over there to the lab and an entrance over here. That entrance over there is a lot closer than this entrance over here. So the person in that corner is going to have an advantage to go into the lab, good or bad. The worst situation probably is this corner over here, since they have to travel through these woods, go around over there to the gate, to the door, unless they're trying to get to the ship, in which they just got to travel down the side of the table. So if I had time, I'd probably print a couple more door sections, but literally to print and to paint, it's over a week to do each one of those pieces. So is the table fair? No. Is this a tournament? No, it's not. It's a role-playing game, and it's a storytelling game. So worrying about whether or not it's fair is not really the point. If you're thinking about being fair, you're probably not even thinking about the game in the right light. You probably need just to change how you're thinking about it. It's a role-playing game. There'll be 4 groups if everybody shows. And if somebody doesn't show and I only have 3, I will be taking that corner over there with the ship off the starting positions. Or maybe I won't. Maybe I'll see what it goes. Because really, if somebody's going to start stealing your ship, say you're the gene stealers, and you're out searching for the gene stealer, and somebody starts up your ship, you're probably going to be worried about that. You're probably going to, it's a conflict. Everything in this thing is, in the game, is to start a conflict. I was going to have a jet bike over on this side to be able to cross the table, but really there's just no time. It's another rule to listen to me tell you how to do, and it's another rule for me to learn. So I really just won't worry about it. What's great about this, now that I have this table set up, done, this has been a dream for over a year of this, having this base done, building it, planning it. But now that it's done, I can tackle just about any mission, and I won't have to put all this lead time into planning a game. I have 2 different vehicles. I have this Arvis, which is not deadly. I have the other vehicle. If I wanted, I could print another landing pad at some point. Probably won't, because I really don't need to. But you could have other things on the table. I could print out some jet bikes and have them inside of a game. I have a possibility of another game next spring, and this table, in mostly like this, will probably go to that event. I'll change up some missions, make some adjustments from what I learned this Friday, and carry that forward. But I shouldn't have to spend a bunch of time making terrain, which is really another piece that I really like. I don't have to worry about making a bunch of terrain. I'm going to move on with spending most of my hobby time when it comes to painting, doing something else, working on the slot car track, perhaps. That's probably going to be what I'm doing this winter, besides doing the rest of the Obscurum how to play Inquisitor stuff. There we are.